chosen ones, there are moments in life when time itself seems to pause, when something far beyond human understanding reaches down and taps your spirit. This is one of those moments. And whether you realize it now or not, you are standing at the edge of a life-altering threshold. Something is shifting around you. Something powerful. Invisible. Orchestrated by heaven itself. You didn't find this message by accident. You were led here. If you're watching this, if these words are reaching you right now, it's because your soul is aligned with a frequency most people will never hear. The universe is speaking. Heaven is speaking. And it's calling your name. Start celebrating, not later, not tomorrow, but now, because you are about to become a millionaire overnight. That statement may jolt something inside you. It might make your logical mind flinch. It may sound too sudden, too bold, too unreal. And yet, deep inside, something in your soul just nodded. You felt it, didn't you? A quiet knowing. A subtle awakening. A part of you that whispered, yes. This is for me. Because when you are a chosen one, you don't need evidence, you recognize truth by vibration. And this truth is not for everyone. It's not for the masses scrolling in search of entertainment. It's not for those who measure reality only by sight. This is for the few who can feel the invisible hands of destiny guiding their path. You have been chosen. This message is not information. It is activation. A spiritual download embedded with timing, instruction, and release. The moment has come when prophecy touches earth, and you are the one it has been waiting for. Let that settle in your spirit. Let your heart make room for what's coming. Because this isn't just a video. It's a divine announcement. A heavenly dispatch. A spiritual unveiling of something you've sensed for a long time but could never fully explain. You've always felt it, haven't you? That you were born for more. That you're not here to survive paycheck to paycheck. That your life was never meant to be ordinary, contained, or small. You may have seen others succeed and wondered when it would be your turn. You may have suffered longer than you thought necessary. But what you didn't know, until now, is that your path has been divinely delayed, not denied. Because overnight wealth isn't just an economic event, it's a spiritual initiation. And the reason it's coming now, so suddenly, is because you've finally reached the frequency where your spirit and your destiny have synchronized. That's what divine timing is. That's what this moment is. You have become the match for what was already written. You may not remember the promises made over your life. But heaven has not forgotten. The watchers, those unseen spiritual overseers tasked with preparing your path, have been watching, measuring, aligning. They've seen your discipline in secret. They've witnessed your tears in silence. And now they are preparing the release. That's why you feel the stirring. That's why you're here. It's easy to dismiss wealth as luck, coincidence, or hustle. But what's about to happen in your life has nothing to do with luck and everything to do with divine orchestration. You were never meant to chase money. Money was meant to recognize your frequency and run toward you. And now, that frequency has been set. It's vibrating from your spirit outward. You are about to attract wealth not because you crave it, but because you've been prepared to steward it. The delay wasn't denial, it was development. God wasn't holding it back to punish you, He was holding it for the moment you'd be able to carry it with honor. You've endured enough to understand that money alone doesn't make you powerful. Character does. Wisdom does. Purpose does. And you, beloved, have been forged in the fires of both pain and perseverance. That's why you are now being trusted with this kind of overflow. It's no longer a matter of if. It's a matter of readiness. And heaven has declared, you are ready. Not everyone will feel the truth of these words. And that's okay. Because only the chosen ones will stay. Only the ones whose spirits have been trained to discern divine frequency will recognize what this is. This is not hype. This is a holy moment. You're not being asked to understand it with your intellect. You're being invited to trust it with your heart. To let go of doubt and lean into the reality of what's unfolding behind the scenes. The old you, the one that second-guessed every opportunity, questioned every good thing, and stayed small to keep others comfortable, is being left behind now. This is your invitation to rise. You don't need to earn this wealth, it's already yours. You only need to align with it. You only need to believe that the version of you that walks in overflow already exists and is waiting for you to step into agreement. You're not watching this video by coincidence. You're watching it because heaven has marked your name. And even now, the gates of abundance are unlocking. Even now, the timing is accelerating. Even now, your name is being whispered in rooms you've never entered. Even now, the spiritual realm is shifting to position you where you were always meant to be, not at the back, but at the front, not beneath, but above. And what will determine how fast this comes, is not your effort, but your energy. Your willingness to say yes. Your readiness to hold the weight of blessing with both humility and strength. Your decision to stop shrinking and start celebrating. So take a deep breath. Center yourself. Because we're about to journey through the mystery of divine wealth, why it's coming, how it's coming, and why you, of all people, have been chosen to carry it. You will not leave this the same. Now lean in. Stay close. The signs are everywhere. And what comes next may change your life forever. There is a rhythm in the universe that cannot be rushed. A divine cadence that does not follow clocks or calendars. And while the world may be obsessed with timelines, deadlines, and fast outcomes, heaven moves with purpose, slowly, precisely, and always on time. What appears sudden to the world is often the final note in a symphony that's been building in silence for years. This is what we call divine timing. Sudden wealth is not sudden to the spirit. It only seems that way to the eyes. Because for the chosen ones, those who are spiritually attuned to the deeper currents of life, there is no such thing as coincidence. There is only orchestration. There is only alignment. You're not here by accident. And your financial breakthrough isn't being delayed, it's being prepared. What feels like waiting is actually weaving. Behind the scenes, the fabric of your destiny has been stitched together with every lesson, every heartbreak, every act of obedience you've carried through the shadows. You didn't miss your moment. Your moment has been waiting for you. And now, something in your spirit knows, it's close. You can feel it, can't you? A stirring deep in your soul. A soft, persistent whisper that says, get ready. That's not imagination. That's the resonance of divine timing. That's your soul aligning with a moment written before you were born. And it's not happening randomly. There are forces beyond what we can see, higher intelligences that have been assigned to monitor, protect, and prepare you. The ancients called them watchers. Scripture refers to them in quiet reverence. In this journey, they are your spiritual guardians, standing at the gates of your breakthrough, making sure you're not only called, but ready. The watchers don't just release blessings at whim. They don't throw riches into unprepared hands. They don't hand over keys to someone who hasn't yet built the foundation to hold what's coming. Their job is to guard divine order, to ensure that what's released in your life doesn't destroy you, but fulfills you. They see what you can't. They've watched the quiet work you've done. They've seen you fall and rise again. They've felt your hunger for breakthrough, your prayers whispered in exhaustion, your silent tears wiped away when no one else noticed. But most importantly, they've seen your growth. And growth is the requirement for access. That's why some people seem to receive wealth before others. It's not favoritism. It's not injustice. It's readiness. It's spiritual alignment. It's the unfolding of a plan so divine that only in hindsight will you truly understand its brilliance. When you are ready, not just with your hands, but with your heart, your thoughts, your motives, and your mindset, wealth doesn't just arrive. It floods. And yet, we often resist the process that's preparing us. We want the reward but not the refinement. We want the crown but not the cross. But the truth is, every delay has been a hidden mercy. Every struggle has been a sacred preparation. You weren't waiting on money. Money was waiting on you. Because wealth without maturity is chaos. You see, divine wealth isn't given just to comfort you, it's entrusted to elevate your calling. It comes with spiritual weight. And that's why the Watchers test your readiness, not by how much you want, but by how much you've become. Not by what you ask for, but by what you can carry. They test your response to hardship. They observe how you react to closed doors, to silence, to uncertainty. Do you grow bitter or better? Do you curse the process or lean into it with trust? These moments, as difficult as they are, reveal the posture of your heart. The universe doesn't reward impatience. It responds to alignment. And divine timing is not random. It is strategic. It is a divine clock set in motion long before you were born. It ticks according to purpose, not pressure. It waits until you've learned what you need to learn. Until your internal world can sustain what your external world is about to receive. Sudden wealth, when it arrives, may shock those around you, but it won't shock your spirit. Because by the time it appears, your soul will already know, this is the moment I've been prepared for. Yes, it may come like a wave in the night. But that wave has been building far beyond the shoreline. And every tear, every prayer, every step forward in the dark, was part of the tide that brought it to you. So if you're asking, why hasn't it happened yet? Know this, your delay has purpose. Divine timing is not rejection. It's refinement. It's alignment. It's the gentle hand of heaven making sure that when the blessing comes, you won't sabotage it, you'll steward it. There's something powerful about knowing that your destiny cannot be stolen. That no matter how long it takes, no one can take what is divinely yours. The door will open when it's meant to. Not because you pushed, but because you became the version of yourself that's finally fit to walk through it. So the question isn't, when will it happen? The question is, are you ready? Have you surrendered your need for control? Have you embraced the lessons embedded in your struggles? Have you stopped trying to force the door open, and instead prepared your spirit to receive? Because the moment is coming. Not just any moment, but your moment. A sacred turning point written into the fabric of your life before your first breath. And when it arrives, it will feel less like luck, and more like divine confirmation. And now, perhaps more than ever, you can feel that confirmation brewing in your spirit. You're not the same person you were before. You're quieter now, more centered. You trust more. You resist less. You're walking with reverence. That's how you know the shift has begun. And as you align with this truth, this divine timing that governs all breakthroughs, you begin to move in sync with the rhythm of heaven. You stop striving. You start listening. You stop questioning. You start preparing. Because when it hits, it will happen so fast, it will feel like overnight. But deep inside, you'll know it wasn't sudden at all. It was destiny unfolding right on time. And as you awaken to this sacred timing, another truth begins to rise. You were never meant to receive wealth by accident, you were chosen to carry it with purpose. That's where we go next. Shall we continue? Wealth does not arrive by chance. It is not handed out like a prize in a game of luck. It is not the result of wishing harder, chasing longer, or hustling faster. No, real wealth, the kind that transforms your life and touches generations, must first be carried in the soul before it ever touches your bank account. And the reason you haven't seen it yet may not be because you're denied, but because you're still being prepared. There is a divine law at work here, you cannot receive what you are not yet ready to carry. If wealth were to arrive before your spirit had the strength to hold it, it could destroy you. It could magnify your wounds instead of healing them. It could inflate your ego rather than elevate your purpose. That's why divine timing never delivers wealth prematurely, it waits until your heart, mind, and spirit have been refined enough to protect the gift rather than misuse it. This is where many give up. They see the delay, but they don't understand it. They think the wait means rejection. But in truth, the waiting is the preparation. You've been enrolled in a sacred training program, even if you didn't know it. The setbacks, the disappointments, the nights when everything felt like it was falling apart, they were never random. They were divine. You weren't being punished. You were being shaped. Every loss that humbled you was forging humility. Every door that closed was redirecting you toward alignment. Every moment of silence was building your ability to listen, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. These weren't just life events. They were spiritual workouts. Exercises in faith. You were being taught how to stand in the dark so that when the light came, you wouldn't take it for granted. You were learning how to move without applause, how to remain disciplined when no one was watching, how to trust even when nothing seemed to change. This is the invisible training ground of the chosen ones. This is where warriors of wealth are born, not in palaces, but in wildernesses. Because here's the truth no one tells you: wealth will not make you ready. Readiness is what makes wealth sustainable. The universe doesn't hand over abundance to unprepared hands. It entrusts it to those who have been tested, refined, and proven through fire. And that's what you've been walking through. Not a delay. A divine development. It's why you've had to go through what you went through. You see, wealth is not just about external accumulation. It's about internal capacity. The reason your breakthrough hasn't shown up yet may be because your spirit was still expanding to receive it. Imagine being handed the weight of $1 million blessing before your soul had the foundation to hold it. It would crush you. Or worse, it would slip through your fingers before you even realized what you had. But something inside of you has shifted. You're not begging for blessings anymore. You're becoming the version of yourself who can carry them. You've learned to remain grounded when everything shakes. You've mastered the art of patience. You've stopped praying for rescue and started walking in obedience. And when that alignment clicks, when your inner frequency matches the abundance you're meant to carry, what once seemed slow suddenly accelerates. The floodgates open. The doors swing wide. The opportunities that once seemed out of reach find their way to your feet. And to the world, it will look like a miracle. They'll call it an overnight success. They'll say, "You're so lucky. It happened so fast." But you will know the truth. It wasn't fast. It was right on time. This is the paradox of divine wealth: when it finally arrives, it will move with breathtaking speed. But it will only seem sudden to those who weren't watching your process. The truth is, you've been preparing for this all along. You've been building the vessel long before it needed to be filled. And now, the universe sees you ready, not just emotionally, but energetically. Not just mentally, but spiritually. And so, wealth comes. Not as a surprise, but as a reward for everything you became in the process. Because you didn't just survive the waiting, you evolved through it. You became someone who can handle the weight of wealth with wisdom, with integrity, with compassion. Someone who won't lose themselves in abundance, but will find their higher purpose through it. And that is the only kind of wealth worth having, the kind that does not destroy, but empowers. The kind that doesn't corrupt, but clarifies. The kind that magnifies your light, not your shadows. So let this be your reminder: if the wealth hasn't arrived yet, don't panic. Prepare. Prepare your thoughts. Cleanse your beliefs. Build discipline where there was once disorder. Heal the parts of you that don't feel worthy. And elevate the parts of you that already know it's coming. Because when it does, it won't knock politely. It will break through like light into darkness. And you'll know, without a shadow of a doubt, that everything you went through was for this moment. And if you're wondering how you'll know when you're finally ready, you'll stop chasing. You'll start aligning. You'll stop waiting for proof. You'll start walking in purpose. And the day will come when it all clicks, the mindset, the mission, the message, the moment, and what once felt like a distant dream will manifest before your very eyes. Not because you forced it, but because you finally became it. And now the real question rises: how do you truly know when your inner self is aligned with the frequency of abundance? What does it mean to carry the energy of wealth before wealth arrives? Wealth is not a destination. It is a reflection. It mirrors who you've become internally far more than what you've done externally. That's why true prosperity doesn't begin with your hands, it begins with your heart. It's not about chasing more, doing more, or trying harder. It's about becoming someone who is energetically and spiritually aligned with abundance. Wealth equals energy plus alignment. That's the spiritual equation. Not effort alone. Not hustle without rest. But energy, the frequency you carry, and alignment, the extent to which your values, beliefs, thoughts, and actions are in harmony with the divine order of the universe. When you are out of alignment, wealth avoids you. When you are in alignment, wealth recognizes you. It sees you. It flows to you. This is the secret most never learn. You don't become wealthy by chasing money, you become wealthy by becoming the kind of person wealth is drawn to. And that's a journey of spiritual maturity. You were never meant to just receive blessings. You were born to carry them. There is a difference between being given something and being able to hold it. Anyone can receive wealth. But not everyone can keep it. And even fewer can multiply it or use it for a higher purpose. That's why your journey has not just been about arriving at wealth, it's been about becoming the kind of vessel that can contain it, sustain it, and use it in divine alignment. You're not just becoming rich. You are becoming a steward of abundance. That means your wealth is no longer just a personal goal. It's a sacred trust. It's not just about how much you have, but about who you are when you have it. Do you have the patience to wait for what's right, rather than grab what's fast? Do you have the discernment to know when an opportunity aligns with your calling, or when it's just a distraction dressed in gold? These questions are not surface level. They are soul deep. Because the universe is not looking for those who can spend money well, it's looking for those who can wield wealth wisely. This is why spiritual depth is required before wealth arrives. Because money in the hands of the unhealed becomes chaos. But in the hands of the aligned, it becomes transformation. When you develop enough inner depth, wealth begins to chase you. Let that sink in. Not when you get the right job. Not when you win the lottery. Not when someone rescues you or gives you a break. But when your spirit radiates alignment. When your heart has grown big enough to hold not just more money, but more gratitude, more vision, more purpose. At that point, something shifts. You stop looking for money to complete you. You stop trying to earn your worth through achievement. You stop begging for the world to notice you. And you start attracting everything that was already yours, simply because you're now finally in position to receive it. You become magnetic. Just like a lighthouse doesn't go chasing ships, but still draws them in with its light, your energetic frequency starts calling in the wealth that belongs to you. And people will say, "You're so lucky." They'll think you stumbled into favor. But they didn't see the spiritual work. They didn't see the nights you spent healing. The prayers you whispered in silence. The choices you made when no one was watching. The moments you stayed aligned even when everything around you was shaking. They didn't see the inner shift, but the universe did. Because here's what most forget: wealth is never random. It's relational. It flows where it feels safe. It stays where it's respected. It expands where it is honored. And that begins inside of you. When you learn to live with joy before the blessing arrives, when you learn to give generously even in seasons of lack, when you learn to forgive yourself for mistakes and still show up in faith, those are the markers of someone who is becoming wealthy from the inside out. Because wealth, in its truest form, is not just a number. It's a state of being. And if you don't feel worthy, no amount of income will ever be enough. If you don't believe you're capable, you'll sabotage the blessings that come. If you don't heal the wounds of scarcity, you'll never rest, even when you have more than enough. So the question is not, how can I make more money? The question is, have I done the inner work to become the kind of person who can hold what I've been asking for? This is the essence of divine wealth. And if you've been feeling like something is shifting in you, if you've felt a deeper calm, a stronger sense of worth, a pull to live more intentionally, it's not your imagination. It's the sign that your spirit is aligning. The wealth you've been asking for is on its way, not because you finally did something, but because you've finally become someone. That's what makes the difference. That's what turns abundance from a distant hope into a present reality. That's what sets the chosen ones apart, not just their calling, but their commitment to inner alignment. So now the next question emerges: if wealth is already on its way, will you be ready to hold it without sabotaging it? Are you truly grounded in your identity and purpose, or will abundance shake you loose from your foundation? The answer lies in how you respond to the tests. Because what comes next is not just prosperity, it's preparation through challenge. That's where we go next. What if the wealth that's coming your way was never meant to be about you? This is one of the most sacred revelations of divine abundance. True wealth isn't designed for self-indulgence, it's meant for something far greater. As a chosen one, you are not being prepared just to enjoy prosperity for yourself. You are being positioned to carry a mission that extends beyond personal comfort. You were not chosen to hoard, you were chosen to flow. The energy of divine wealth is not static, it moves like a river, seeking those ready to let it pass through them, not stop with them. You are not the end point. You are the vessel. And your wealth is not a prize, it is a tool. It's a sacred trust handed to you by heaven, to be used not just for your own life, but for the healing and uplifting of others. The original message illustrates this with a powerful metaphor: you are the container of abundance. Like a sacred cup being filled, what overflows is not wasted, it is divinely destined to nourish others. The watchers, the spiritual guardians overseeing your path, do not release the gates of prosperity to those who are only focused on themselves. Instead, they wait until your soul understands the sacred purpose behind your wealth. Until you grasp that abundance is meant to move through you as a force of healing, of justice, and of elevation, you will not fully access what is yours. Wealth without understanding leads to collapse. But wealth with purpose leads to legacy. This is why the universe waits. Not to punish, but to refine. To ensure that when your breakthrough comes, you will know exactly why it's in your hands. This is the moment to reflect deeply. Do you see your financial breakthrough as something just for you, or are you ready to become a vessel through which others can rise too? If your answer is the latter, then you are ready for the blessing to flow. Because the watchers do not release wealth to those who ask, "How much can I get?" They release it to those who ask, "How much can I give?" When you shift into the frequency of stewardship, when you stop seeing wealth as something to possess and start seeing it as something to distribute, you begin to align with the divine current of abundance. This is the kind of energy heaven honors. The kind of soul it equips. The kind of mission it empowers. You weren't chosen just to rise. You were chosen to lift. To build. To pour. To transform the atmosphere around you. When the blessing comes, it will not be the end, it will be the beginning of your assignment as a spiritual distributor of wealth. You will be entrusted with resources not because you asked, but because you proved you could carry them with purpose, humility, and vision. So the deeper question now becomes, are you prepared not just to receive, but to release? Are you ready to see your bank account grow because your impact is growing? Are you willing to carry the weight of wealth, not for vanity, but for vision? If you feel the answer stirring in your spirit, then take this as confirmation. The alignment has begun. The divine current is forming. And what comes next will not just enrich your life, it will awaken your mission. And if you're truly ready for that mission, we'll go deeper into what the universe does to test your readiness before the release. It's not just about receiving. It's about surviving the fire that forges you into the person who can sustain it. It's easy to think that the delays in your life, the struggles you've endured, the setbacks you didn't see coming, were signs that maybe abundance just wasn't meant for you. But what if all of it had a higher purpose? What if the very battles that almost broke you were never meant to destroy, but to develop you? As a chosen one, your journey is not random. It is a divine training ground. And every hardship you've faced was part of the preparation. The universe is not punishing you, it's purifying you. Because true wealth, the kind that is meant to last, doesn't land in the hands of the unprepared. It waits for the soul that has been tested by fire and proven resilient, faithful, and refined. Abundance is weight. It is responsibility. And if given too early, it can crush what it was meant to elevate. That is why trials come first, not as roadblocks, but as refinement. Just as gold is purified in intense heat, so are you. The fire that tried to consume you was actually burning away your pride, impatience, ego, and all the limiting beliefs that would have sabotaged your breakthrough. The universe asks, can you stay calm when nothing is going your way? Can you still believe when there's no proof around you? Can you walk with humility when no one is clapping for you? These are not small questions, they are spiritual gatekeepers. They measure your readiness not in words, but in your ability to endure, to grow, and to rise without resentment. The truth is, the struggles you thought were setbacks were actually sacred appointments. They were there to build emotional strength, spiritual wisdom, and unshakable trust. They didn't happen to you, they happened for you. And when you begin to view your past through that lens, the pain turns into power, the delays turn into design, and what felt like punishment transforms into preparation. Think of your hardest moments. What did you learn when everything was falling apart? Who did you become after the betrayal, the loss, the silence? If you look honestly, you'll see that you are not the same. You are wiser, stronger, more grounded. And that evolution is not accidental, it is evidence. Evidence that the universe has been training you, not for survival, but for stewardship. For sacred responsibility. Because wealth is not simply about receiving. It is about sustaining. And you cannot sustain what you have not been shaped for. That's why the fire came first. To stretch your faith, to test your patience, to build your integrity. The watchers, the unseen guardians of your journey, were never absent in your storms. They were watching to see if you could hold your peace, even when the ground shook beneath your feet. And every time you chose trust over fear, gratitude over bitterness, faith over doubt, you passed another test. So now the question isn't, why did I suffer so long? The real question is, am I beginning to see what that suffering built inside of me? Because when you do, you'll no longer chase after wealth like a stranger trying to find a door that won't open. You'll realize the door has been opening all along, from the inside. Every scar, every tear, every silent battle, they were all keys. And here you are now, standing not at the beginning, but at the threshold. You are not the same person who started this journey. And that's exactly why the wealth that's coming will stay. Because you've been forged. You've been refined. And now, you're ready to carry what once would have crushed you. Which leads us to the next truth, this abundance was never meant for you alone. What you've built internally is not just to receive, it's to release. And in the following section, we'll explore what happens when wealth becomes part of your divine mission. Because what's coming next isn't just provision, it's purpose. There's a paradox about faith that most people miss, you won't see it first. You won't have physical proof. You won't be able to show anyone a bank account balance, a signed deal, or an open door. But if you're truly walking in faith, you'll feel it. You'll know it. Deep in your spirit, there will be a quiet certainty that the breakthrough is already written. That wealth is not just coming, it's already yours in the unseen realm. That is what it means to be a chosen one. You don't wait until the evidence arrives to believe. You believe so fully, so completely, that the evidence has no choice but to show up. Faith is not passive. It's not wishful thinking. It is an active force. A decision. A posture of the heart that says, I know who I am. I know what's been promised to me. And I choose to align with it even when my surroundings don't reflect it yet. If you're waiting to see the results before you commit to belief, that's not faith, that's observation. And observation never manifests miracles. Only faith does. That's why faith must come before the harvest. Before the check arrives. Before the promotion lands. Before the call comes. Faith precedes fruit. And the universe, the watchers, the very energy of abundance, they all respond to your belief, not your doubt. The way you think, the way you speak, the way you act every single day, is either building your future or delaying it. That's how powerful faith is. But here's the thing. Faith and fear cannot coexist. They are opposing forces. You cannot live fully anchored in faith and still entertain fear as your constant companion. You will always feed one and starve the other. You must choose. And every time you choose to believe, even when your body trembles, even when your bank account says otherwise, you're shifting the frequency of your reality. You're inviting breakthrough to find you faster. That's why the message is clear: let your faith be louder than your fear. Let it echo in your decisions. Let it show up in your speech. Let it lead the way. Some might say, but how do I know it's going to happen? The truth is, you don't. You believe it will. And that's what makes all the difference. Faith is not the absence of doubt, it's choosing to move forward anyway. When you wake up in the morning and choose to think wealthy thoughts, to speak as if prosperity is already flowing, to act like the chosen one you are, then your belief is no longer just an emotion, it's a lifestyle. It becomes the compass that aligns you with the frequency of abundance. Faith must translate into action. Not just positive affirmations whispered into the mirror, but actual shifts in behavior and mindset. A person of faith doesn't complain about delays, they prepare anyway. They don't shrink when the answer hasn't come, they keep walking. They don't sabotage with doubt, they build, they plant, they sow. That's how faith works. It takes root when it's lived out, not just thought about. If you truly believe you've been chosen for wealth, then let it be reflected in your choices. Don't just speak of abundance, practice generosity. Don't just visualize wealth, take responsibility for what you already have. Faith without alignment is fantasy. But faith with alignment, that's the foundation for miracles. So ask yourself now, what does your daily life say about what you truly believe? Are your words in harmony with wealth? Are your emotions nurturing expansion or feeding limitation? Are your choices honoring the truth that abundance is already yours? Because when your faith becomes embodied, when it leaves the mind and enters your movements, the universe will recognize that signal, and respond with overflow. Wealth doesn't arrive to those who wait in uncertainty. It flows to those who walk like it's already done. And that kind of belief doesn't come from the outside in. It starts inside. It's the quiet conviction that whispers, "This has always been mine. I was born for this." That's the kind of faith that shifts timelines. That collapses delays. That opens doors no man can shut. So no, faith isn't just a nice idea, it's the key. The one that opens the gate. The one that aligns you with the energy of wealth before a single dollar touches your hand. That's the mystery and the magic of it. When you finally stop asking, when, and start saying, thank you, the vibration shifts. You step into a new reality. One where prosperity doesn't feel foreign, it feels familiar. Because it's already been written into your destiny. And if your heart is stirring as you hear these words, that's not by chance. It's a sign that your spirit is aligning. That your inner world is catching up to the truth that's been waiting to break through. So declare it. Live it. Walk in it. Let your belief become your atmosphere. And watch what happens next. Because once your belief is aligned, the next step is not to wait, it's to live as if it's already done. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore how to embody that energy, how to match your vibration with wealth so powerfully that it has no choice but to manifest. Your actions will become evidence. Your state of being will become the magnet. Let's unlock what happens when you stop hoping and start being. Wealth doesn't begin in a moment of excitement. It doesn't manifest because of a single inspired prayer, a powerful affirmation, or one breakthrough visualization. Those moments may awaken your awareness, but they are not the source of sustained abundance. The true foundation of wealth is built in the quiet, repetitive, often unseen actions that you choose to take every single day. It is the discipline you hold when nobody is watching, when no applause is heard, and when no immediate results seem to follow. Most people want to be wealthy. Few are willing to be disciplined. But what separates those who momentarily touch success from those who embody it fully is not intelligence or talent, it's the unwavering ability to stay aligned with abundance when nothing around them confirms that it's working. That's the mystery and the miracle of discipline. It is spiritual maturity in motion. Look at Daniel. In the book of Daniel 6 verse 10, we see a man who was told not to pray, whose devotion to God was outlawed. And yet, what did he do? He bowed 3 times a day, just as he always had. No one needed to tell him to. No one cheered him on. He knew that spiritual consistency was his lifeline. And because of that unwavering commitment, he was delivered from the lions and elevated into favor and authority. That wasn't just God rewarding Daniel's faith, it was God recognizing his discipline. Now think of someone like Michael Jordan. He's not remembered only for game-winning shots, but for the countless hours he spent in the gym when no cameras were rolling. For the early mornings and the grueling repetition that turned skill into mastery. His greatness wasn't spontaneous, it was built brick by brick in private. And that same principle applies to the realm of spiritual and financial wealth. Discipline is what creates the container strong enough to hold what you're asking for. Without it, blessings can slip through your hands. Many pray for sudden wealth, but few ask themselves, do I have the structure, the habits, the inner consistency to keep it once it arrives? Wealth flows through consistency. It does not respond to emotional highs or erratic behavior, it responds to aligned patterns. To live in the frequency of abundance is to remain steady, even when your emotions fluctuate. It is to keep doing what aligns with prosperity, even when you don't feel like it. Even when the evidence hasn't shown up. Even when others question your dedication. Discipline says, I am becoming the person who can carry this blessing, and I won't stop until I fully embody that identity. That is the kind of commitment the universe rewards. Let's be honest, this is where most people fall short. They can visualize the lifestyle. They can pray with passion. But when the emotion fades and the mundane returns, they let their frequency drop. They skip the rituals. They lose their focus. They break their own word. And slowly, their inner world drifts from alignment. The watchers do not release abundance to those who treat it like a short-term obsession. They release it to those who have proven they can uphold the weight of the gift with sacred responsibility. If you've been showing up inconsistently, motivated one week and scattered the next, this is not a rebuke, but a wake-up call. Ask yourself, who are you when no one's watching? Are you still holding the vibration of your vision? Are your habits matching the magnitude of what you've been asking for? Because discipline is the quiet commitment to live as though the promise has already been fulfilled. It is the proof that your faith is real. Let's go deeper. Discipline isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. It's not about forcing yourself into rigid schedules. It's about choosing actions that reflect the reality you're creating. If you say you are wealthy in spirit, are your thoughts orderly or chaotic? If you say you are stepping into overflow, are your emotions rooted in gratitude or anxiety? Discipline is about coherence. It's about making your inner world a stable enough place for wealth to take root. This is why discipline is not just a practical tool, it's a spiritual test. It's how the universe verifies your readiness. Anyone can be inspired for a few days. But those who sustain the frequency, especially when it's quiet, when it's slow, when it's lonely, those are the ones who prove they are more than seekers. They are stewards. And once that is established, once your consistency becomes your standard, the universe can finally release the flow. Because it knows the blessing won't be wasted. It won't be neglected. It will grow, multiply, and serve. The energetic gates open for those who are no longer swayed by circumstance, but governed by purpose. So, if you've been asking, why hasn't it come yet? Look at your patterns. Look at your rituals. Look at the hidden hours. Do they reflect abundance or chaos? Are they sporadic or steady? Wealth is not random. It responds to rhythm. It responds to the cadence of commitment. Because when you are rooted in discipline, your frequency no longer wavers with emotions or external outcomes. You become like deep water, calm, consistent, and powerful. And it is from this place of inner stillness and alignment that true wealth begins to flow, not in spurts, but in streams. And now, as your inner world becomes more structured, more stable, and more prepared to hold the magnitude of your calling, there is one final question to ask, not, am I ready? But, am I willing to live as the person who already has it? Because the next phase of your journey is no longer about waiting. It's about embodying. About magnetizing. About stepping fully into the energy of someone who already possesses the wealth they once prayed for. What happens next? The moment you begin to act, speak, and align like the chosen one who has already received the promise, the flow responds. The gates open. And the tide begins to rise. There is a powerful truth many people miss on their journey toward abundance: wealth does not flow to you slowly by default. It flows at the exact speed of your belief and action. You are not waiting on wealth. Wealth is waiting on you. And the moment your faith moves faster than your fear, when your decisions outrun your doubt, you open a gateway that accelerates everything. The timing of your breakthrough is not set by fate alone. It is shaped by the level of your readiness and how quickly you choose to step forward in trust. Think of Joseph. One day, he was in a prison cell, forgotten, betrayed, confined. The next, he was the second most powerful man in Egypt, entrusted with leading a nation through crisis. That shift didn't happen by luck. It was the outcome of years of preparation. The inner work, the pain, the refinement, it all culminated in a single moment. And when that moment came, Joseph was not surprised. He was ready. That story holds a mirror up to your life. You may not see it yet, but if you've been moving in obedience, walking with trust, and responding with faith, your moment is closer than you think. The real question is not if it's coming, but whether you're prepared to match its speed. People often pray for a financial miracle, yet they hesitate when the opportunity shows up. They overthink. They wait for more signs. They pause until all conditions seem perfect. But spiritual acceleration doesn't work that way. It doesn't wait for your full understanding, it moves with your obedience. If you want wealth to arrive quickly, your belief must become bolder, and your actions must become immediate. The universe doesn't operate on human schedules. It moves through momentum. It reads energy, not excuses. That means when you're indecisive, hesitant, or stuck in overanalysis, you're actually slowing down what was already making its way toward you. This is not about being reckless. It's about recognizing when the window is open, and running through it instead of waiting for another one to appear. Every time you say, "I'm not ready yet," you delay the very thing you're praying for. And while the divine doesn't punish you for hesitation, it also doesn't send a tsunami to those still dipping their toes in the water. Wealth is a wave. It rises fast. And only those willing to believe and move at its pace will ride it into destiny. Let's redefine what speed truly means in the spiritual context. It's not about physical movement or frantic effort. It's about how quickly you align with the truth you've already heard in your spirit. It's the decision to say yes, even when your eyes can't yet see the full path. It's the ability to act like the person who already possesses what they asked for, before there's any external evidence. That's what Joseph did. He remained faithful when he was overlooked. He showed leadership while still in bondage. He interpreted dreams with confidence, knowing his gift had purpose, long before the promotion arrived. And when the door finally opened, he didn't say, "Let me pray about it," or "I'm not sure if I'm qualified." He stepped in. Fully. Decisively. Because that's what readiness looks like. It's not hesitation, it's embodiment. Here's the truth, most people don't miss their blessings because they weren't called. They miss them because they were too slow to believe. Too cautious to commit. Too addicted to certainty to step forward in faith. But miracles don't wait. They move at the speed of surrender. At the speed of yes. And the longer you wait to act, the more you drift from the energy required to sustain the wealth you're asking for. Imagine wealth like a train, it doesn't sit at the station forever. It pulls in at the exact time you're spiritually scheduled to board. If you hesitate, you might still catch another train later, but it won't be the same one. You'll have to wait, realign, and start the momentum all over again. Why? Because energy compounds. And when you disrupt that energy, you lose speed. This is why belief must lead the way. You don't wait for the evidence. You become the evidence. You don't wait for the money to show up before you shift your mindset. You align your mindset so clearly with wealth, that the money simply arrives as a reflection. Faith doesn't follow confirmation, faith creates it. You must become the person who acts without a safety net. Who trusts the unseen. Who shows up for opportunities with the posture of someone who already carries the blessing. That is the speed the universe responds to. That is the signal that triggers divine acceleration. But if you wait too long, if you keep saying, "I'll start when I feel more confident," or "I'll move when it's more certain," you train your energy to stay in the frequency of delay. You become a match for hesitation, not abundance. And the very breakthrough meant for you will pass by, waiting for you to catch up. So ask yourself, have you been moving fast enough to keep up with what you've been praying for? Not fast in hustle, but fast in belief. Fast in obedience. Fast in energetic alignment. Because the moment your energy matches the magnitude of the miracle, it begins to move toward you. There are windows that open briefly. Divine portals. Appointed moments. And your ability to move swiftly when they appear is not optional, it is spiritual requirement. The faster you say yes to what you already know is yours, the faster it becomes real. What would change if you started living as if the wealth you're waiting for has already been released? How would you speak, walk, decide, and commit differently? Because that version of you, the one who acts boldly, believes deeply, and moves quickly, is the one who gets there. And now, as you begin to embody this rhythm of alignment, as you anchor yourself in trust and step into action without delay, something shifts. Not just in the spiritual realm, but in your day-to-day. Doors open. Favor follows. And the current of abundance begins to pull you forward. Which leads us to a truth most overlook: you don't wait for joy until the blessing arrives. You celebrate first. Because joy, too, is a magnet. And celebration is the frequency that tells the universe, "I'm ready now." You've been taught to celebrate after something happens. Wait for the win, then clap. Wait for the money, then smile. Wait for the breakthrough, then dance. But spiritual wealth doesn't work that way. In the higher realm, joy isn't a reaction, it's a declaration. And if you want to shift the frequency of your life, if you truly want to align with abundance, you have to flip the script, celebrate first. This message may seem paradoxical, even absurd to the rational mind. How can I celebrate something I don't yet see? But that's exactly where the power lies. Celebration, in its truest form, is not about reacting to what has shown up, it's about preparing your energy for what's already on its way. It's not wishful thinking. It's a profound act of alignment. When you choose to celebrate before the money arrives, you are doing more than just expressing positive emotion. You are making a spiritual announcement: I already believe. I already feel it. I already receive. And this energy speaks louder than any prayer or intention you could ever whisper. The universe responds, not to your desperation or doubt, but to your vibration. And nothing raises your vibration faster than pure, unshakable joy. Celebration is one of the highest frequencies in the spiritual realm. It tells God, the universe, and every force around you that you are no longer begging, you are receiving. You are no longer waiting, you are welcoming. This is not a naive optimism. It is a conscious decision to live in the vibration of completion, not lack. You're not asking anymore. You're embodying. What does that look like in practice? It's waking up with gratitude like the deposit already hit your bank. It's walking through your day with lightness because you're no longer chasing, it's already done. It's smiling at strangers, blessing your food, dancing in your kitchen, and speaking life over your future like it's already here. Because spiritually, it is. The more you celebrate the version of yourself who already received, the more you become that version. Joy is the proof of belief. Doubt never celebrates. Fear never smiles in advance. But faith? Faith rejoices while the evidence is still invisible. Because it knows what's coming. And here's the deeper secret, joy is magnetic. When you are truly happy, not because of a condition, but because of a conviction, you begin to attract the people, the opportunities, the resources, and yes, the financial breakthrough that match your frequency. Wealth doesn't come to those who sit in lack and wait. It comes to those who radiate abundance before the world ever gives them a reason. This is why the happiest people often seem the luckiest. But it's not luck. It's alignment. They celebrated their vision until it became visible. They danced in empty rooms until the invitations came. They gave thanks for closed doors until better ones opened. They smiled when it made no sense, because their spirit recognized what their eyes hadn't seen yet. So if you believe, truly believe, that you've been called into financial overflow, what are you waiting for to rejoice? If you really knew that your breakthrough was days away, would you be stressed? Would you keep doubting? Or would you start celebrating today? This is your invitation to shift your state. Not when the contract comes. Not when the deal closes. Now. Because every second you stay in delay mode emotionally, you hold up the manifestation physically. But the moment you enter into joy, the moment you embody peace and expectation, you accelerate everything. You don't need to throw a party to celebrate. You don't need fireworks or fanfare. Sometimes, celebration looks like writing a bold affirmation in your journal. Sometimes it's saying, "Thank you," out loud as if you just received the wire transfer. Sometimes it's taking a walk in the sun and whispering, "I know it's already done." The universe hears all of it. The act itself is not what matters, it's the energy you step into while doing it. You're not pretending. You're prophesying. You're not faking it. You're forming it. Your celebration becomes the blueprint of your future reality. And the more often you return to that vibration, the faster the blueprint becomes a building. So, if you've been asking, what do I do while I wait? This is your answer: celebrate. Celebrate small wins. Celebrate who you're becoming. Celebrate the fact that your energy is rising, your faith is anchoring, your vision is sharpening. Celebrate before the world understands why. Because when they finally see it, you'll be too busy living it. And when joy becomes your default frequency, money no longer feels like a faraway dream. It becomes a natural companion to the energy you've chosen. Wealth gravitates toward happiness, not the happiness that comes from having, but the happiness that comes from knowing. From trusting. From embodying what's already yours in the spirit. That is why celebration isn't the end of the story. It's the activation. It's not the reward, it's the response. It's how you open the portal of abundance before a single dollar shows up. It's how you walk into your divine inheritance, not as a beggar, but as a partner in creation. Because once joy anchors your soul, your heart becomes the safest place for abundance to land. And everything that comes next, every financial miracle, every unexpected blessing, every door that swings open without effort, is simply responding to the signal you've already sent. I believe. I trust. I celebrate because I know what's coming. And now, from this sacred space of celebration, the next step is not one of waiting, it is one of walking boldly into the life that has already been written for you. You're not preparing for the blessing anymore. You're standing in it. You're living in it. And all that's left is to receive what joy has already drawn near. You will become a millionaire very soon. Let that statement settle into your soul, not as a possibility, not as wishful thinking, but as a spiritual confirmation. This is not a maybe. It's not up for debate. This is the decree that has echoed through every step of this message, the through line that began at the first word and now returns, full circle, to close the sacred loop. Your breakthrough is not approaching. It is already moving. And the only thing left is for you to rise up and receive. When this truth was first spoken, perhaps it felt bold, even unbelievable. But now, after everything you've walked through, everything your spirit has been reminded of, can you feel how real it's become? This wasn't just a motivational speech. It was a divine alignment. And now, as we draw this moment to a close, we don't end with questions. We end with activation. If you know deep down that this message was for you, then it's time to step forward, not just in belief, but in expression. Declare your readiness with action. Leave a comment with the number 77, not as a gimmick or game, but as a prophetic stamp, a sign that you are open, aligned, and ready to walk through the door of wealth. That number carries vibration. It symbolizes the meeting point between the divine and the material. It's not just a comment. It's a covenant. Click the like button, not just to support the video, but to send a ripple of agreement into the digital ether. Let the algorithm of the universe catch your signal and amplify it. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because what flows through here isn't just content, it's spiritual momentum. It's guidance. It's partnership. And if your heart is stirred to do more, if something within you feels compelled to give back in the form of a super thanks, know that it isn't about money. It's about matching the frequency of receiving with the frequency of giving. It's an offering of faith, not obligation. And if this message touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Share the video. Spread the light. Someone else is on the verge of their own financial transformation but may not know it yet. Be the voice that introduces them to their destiny. Your act of sharing could be the very trigger that awakens a soul from slumber and sends them down the path toward abundance. But all of that is still surface. The deeper invitation is internal. Do you feel it? That stirring in your chest. That awareness rising from your gut to your heart and into your mind. That is not adrenaline. That is confirmation. You're not just hearing something good, you're remembering something true. This isn't the first time your soul has been told it was destined for more. This isn't the first time your spirit caught a glimpse of wealth far beyond your current circumstance. But today, right now, something is different. Today, it isn't just a dream. It's a decision. You are ready. You're not too late. You didn't miss it. You haven't messed it up beyond repair. All the delays, the disappointments, the detours, they were not disqualifiers. They were refiners. They were spiritual weight training. They made you strong enough to carry what's coming. So don't question the timing. Don't analyze the how. That's not your job. Your job is to believe and move. The universe has already started shifting things in your favor. You don't have to understand the details to accept the delivery. Let this final declaration settle into your bones. You are ready. The universe is already moving. That is not poetry. That is prophecy. That is not suggestion. That is truth. And when you let that truth guide your next step, you no longer walk with hesitation. You walk in authority. The hesitation is gone. The wondering is over. The blessing has begun. This is no longer the waiting room. This is the birthing room. Every lesson you've endured, every tear you've shed, every night you've cried out for more, they weren't ignored. They were invested. And now the return is coming. Your obedience, your persistence, your inner work, they've created the energetic container that is now strong enough to hold what was always meant for you. The floodgates are opening because you've built the structure to receive. So hold your head high. Don't look around to see if others are clapping. Don't wait for validation. You are not dependent on external applause because your confirmation came from within. You know. And that knowing is enough. Let this be the final word of this message, not as an ending, but as a beginning. You are chosen. You are called. You are equipped. And now, you are positioned. The only question that remains is, will you rise? Let your answer be seen in how you celebrate. Let your faith be loud in how you act. Let your readiness be evident in how you walk through the rest of this day, this week, this life. You will become a millionaire, very soon. Now go live like it's already done. Because it is.